Ready? I'm assuming somebody's going to talk at some point in time. I'm waiting just like you. Go ahead.
Coach, have you gotten over that spring game?
Have I gotten over? See, you poke. As soon as I sit down, you poke the bear. There we go. No, I'm not over the spring game. But no, like at the end of the day, I think, it was a good opportunity, for me and CJ to have an opportunity to, sit in as head coaches. And so I'm thankful for Coach Sweeney for that. But like at the end of the day, man, we got to go out and compete, I know that there were some calls that could have been questionable, but we have to make sure that we do things that don't allow the game to be close. And there's going to be real, opportunities as we move forward during the season where, hey, refs going to make calls that we're not going to like. But at the end of the day, we got to go out and be dominant. Don't put ourselves in those situations, so we don't put it in the refs' hands.
Yes, we heard a lot of stuff in the spring just about Peter, players and coaches.
Yeah.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything from spring, a particular play, or anything about him as an athlete that kind of leads to that type of talk? Do you remember any specific?
I mean, thing for me about Peter Woods is his humbleness. He's such a great kid, and then at the end of the day, he's just been blessed with God-given talent. And so God has given him a lot of abilities that other people just don't have. He's given him strength, speed, quickness that other people don't have. And so when you combine that with him as a person and who he is, it just makes it amazing. He's going to be a natural leader for us. Obviously, there's areas of his game that he needs to work on, but he's definitely going to be a really good football player for us and a great leader for us. So just truly excited about that. But at the end of the day, man, no matter how great we are, man, there's always room for improvement. And so, but is he going to be really good? Yes, he is. And so are the other guys. Big Burley, Stephon Green, they're just as talented. And so I've been truly blessed to have an opportunity to coach him.
What does he need to work on?
For Peter, man, just hey, when you got a guy that's 6'3", 310 pounds of muscle, hey, you can go and make plays whenever you feel like in high school. And if you watch his huddle tape, he just runs through people. But at the end of the day, we have some other dudes on the field that's around him now, and so it's kind of crazy. It's like, hey, you're trying to tell a guy, hey, you don't have to make every play in every play in the defense. And so when you're telling a guy that means you got a really good football player that can go make plays. And so, but for the most part, man, it's just understanding our defensive scheme and just learning our defense. But he comes out every day. He's humble, eager to learn, always looking to improve. And so that's what's going to make him great.
Is there any hesitation about moving him around?
I cross-train all of our players to be able to play in and out. And so he'll be cross-trained just like everybody else. And so, like right now, man, all my players are going to be cross-trained to be able to play across the board, which makes it really exciting for me to be able to do that.
How valuable is it when you have a freshman like Peter Woods to have the veterans that you have coming back like Tyler and Ruke and Tré, just to be able to rotate those guys and for them to learn?
I think it's just great, man. When you have that kind of depth, man, you have an opportunity to win a lot of football games and be dominant. I would say like Tré Williams, Payton Page, and DeMonte Capehart. Those guys have really made a huge step this offseason, just improving. I've just been challenging them on and off the field, and they've stepped up to the challenge. And so those depth guys, are the guys that, I'm looking that I've seen this spring that are really tremendously improved. That I know I got to get really, really better. Now, Ruke and Tyler, they've had a lot of playing experience, and they got to be the best version of themselves. They got to come out and be dominant. And you got to show up again this year and prove that, hey, you're one of the best 2D linemen, in the country. And so they got to show up every week, be consistent throughout the season, and we'll go from there.
Where does Capehart improve, and what have you seen him do to make that?
DeMonte has just done a really good job of taking care of his body, just staying healthy, working on his flexibility. He's really been hitting it hard in the weight room this offseason, taking some time in his off time, man, to just be the best version of himself. I just challenge him to do that, man. But mentally and physically, he's in one of the best spots he's ever been.
Talking about being the best version of yourself, you shared back in March that you broke out with Little Debbie. You kind of shared your health journey.
Yeah.
How has that changed the way you coach or your coaching experience when you've gotten some life changes?
I think for me, it's just trying to be the living example for my players. I know that I'm not going to be the 19-year-old version of myself. But at the end of the day, I can be the best 43-year-old man that I can possibly be. I know the guys are looking at that, every day. So, I care about them. I spend a lot of time with them. And so, in order to provide that leadership, man, I got to be the example for myself. And, that comes with just being vulnerable, being able to express, to everybody outside of being in the NFL and outside of being a coach at Clemson, man, I'm human. And so I go through, human trials and tribulations just like everybody else. And so, like at the end of the day, man, I've struggled with, depression in the past. I've struggled with, food addictions. And so, man, I had to overcome that. And so I think there's a lot of inspiration and motivation for people who haven't a listening ear to want to hear to help them get through some things.
When we were talking to Wes, he was talking about leaders in the defense. He brought up Ruke as one of those guys. And obviously Ruke Orhorhoro as a person.
Right. Yeah, Ruke, man, has done a tremendous job. He's tough. He's fast. He's physical. Eager to learn. He's quiet, and he's going to have a really great season this year. And so Ruke has always been kind of more of the vocal leaders in our room. Tyler Moore is more of a leader by example. But I've challenged those guys to be better leaders in our room. Take the bull by the horns in our room, and challenge everybody to be the best version of themselves. And they've shown that they can lead vocally and by example.
One more on Peter. You guys lost to grade 11, gaining a typically of grade 11. What could 11 mean for Clemson defense?
Man, hey, 11 just needs to show up, and just like every other number that needs to show up and just be great. Peter Woods is going to be awesome. But at the end of the day, man, he's got to show up week to week and just prove himself, just like everybody else on the team. He's got to show up at camp, man, and show that he can do it. And so he hasn't played it down yet. But I can tell you this, man, he definitely has the tools to be very dominant. He has tools that I haven't seen in a guy that's just turned 18 years old and ever. So. He's very, much advanced and ahead of a lot of his game.
Is there things that he's done? I was gonna say, is there things that he's done in practice in the spring, or that you see from him that you're like, okay, that's a little different than your typical 18-year-old, 19-year-old going in here?
Absolutely. Just watching him, man, in our technique and fundamentals and our individual drills, you can see that the explosion, the toughness, the physicality, the twitchiness. I mean, he has it all. And so right now, man, it's just for me to just kind of continue to help develop that, and so that he continues to get better. But you see it, going against the offensive line, our starting offensive line. He had an opportunity to get a lot of reps because we had some injuries, across the front. And so, man, he got better. And so I'm just truly thankful that he was able to get the reps that he was able to get.
From your knowledge, was it just his favorite number, or was he kind of aware of the legacy of 11 plus?
I'm not sure as to why he chose 11. Obviously Brian Brzee, who was a great defensive lineman for us as well, wore the number. So I don't know if he chose the number just, to follow in his footsteps, or that's kind of been his favorite number since he was a kid.
Do you remember a moment? Go ahead. Do you remember a moment like practice or weight room or something where he did something and like some of the older, Tyler and Ruke are like, okay, like was there sort of a standout moment early on? I
mean, you hear guys whispering and talking about Peter. They see that he's different, and they understand that the tools and tangibles that he has coming in here, that it took them a couple years to kind of develop, and so he's more developed than your average 17, 18-year-old that comes into college football. And those type of players are very rare, and I think that's why there's a lot of talk around his name, because Peter Woods of the worlds that come in and being the person that he is are very rare, man. But like at the end of the day, what I love about Peter, he's just a humble kid that's willing to work. He come in, man, just you love his spirit, you love his leadership, and he's going to do an awesome job just as an ambassador for this team on and off the field.
What's your evaluation of the pass pressure from the interior last season, and I guess also as a whole, defensive line?
I just think, there's always room for improvement. We just got to be able to win with the front four, and not always try to generate pressure on the quarterback with pressure. And we've done a good job, but we can always be better. If you want to obviously have an opportunity to go on a run and to win game by game, man, our guys got to be able to show up and just win their one-on-ones. And those guys have been working really, really hard this offseason as a group to get that done.
When you look back on the boxes that you wanted to check by this point in the offseason, is there anything this group has done to surprise you?
I just think they've done a better job of just studying tape and just spending more time together and just bonding as a unit. Some of the great defensive lines that I've been a part of and that I've coached, in the NFL, and then obviously I'm just going into my third year in college football. Man, those guys are kind of united and bonded off the field. And so I think they've done a good job of spending a lot of time with each other, getting to know each other, because it's different when you step on the field. It's not just your teammate, it's your brother.
Coach,
Coach, everyone speaks about your motivational ability and your character. Can you share with us a little bit about the origins of that, those pieces that made you who you are?
I just think it comes from being raised in a home by my grandfather, Bishop James Holland. Obviously passed away about 12 years ago, and so I've learned my leadership. I kind of had that example in the home, as a young man, and so I'm truly appreciative of that. To my mom as well, who lost her fight at the age of 50 from breast cancer about 10 years ago, Iris Wilcox, and to my grandmother. And so those three people have taught me how to lead and taught me how to be a servant leadership, and just really always have prayed that I remain humble and that God give me favor. And so, like, at the end of the day, man, it's really about how many lives that I can affect and that I can change. Because everybody can't coach forever and you can't play the game forever. And so, but at the end of the day, man, my goal is just try to get into heaven, And God's not going to care that I was a defensive run game coordinator or that I was a defensive tackle coach, that's not going to just get me there. So, man, I just want to make sure that I'm kind and humble to people, that I treat people right, and then I lead in the right way.
Now, the offseason is obviously an area where players can improve. What about you as a coach? What do you do personally to improve as a coach?
Every single offseason, I'm always trying to develop. And regardless of what people think I know, or regardless how well my players play, there's always room for improvement. And so for me, that comes to taking care of my body. That comes with, going to coaching seminars, learning things from high school coaches, college coaches, pro coaches. And so, man, I challenge myself every single year to meet with coaches, get coaches on a Zoom, and just maybe look at my individual drills. Maybe the verbiage that I'm using it could be changed, or maybe there's some keywords I need to use to help my players get better. And so I continue to keep that mindset and never become comfortable and think that I've arrived as a coach, or to think that I got all the answers, because I don't. And I think that's how I can continue to stay a good coach, is by continuing to develop myself every offseason, both physically and mentally.
You look good, too.
Oh, thank you.
You tweeted earlier this spring, or maybe summer, I forget when it was, that you broke up with Little Debbie.
Yeah.
And were you surprised at all by, there's tons of interaction on that, and people sharing their own stories?
Absolutely. Not surprised. I think a lot of times, people are really excited to see my vulnerability and be able to talk about real life problems that we all are going through. And like I said, people look at where I'm at now. They see, the Super Bowls, they see the NFL coach, they see the college coach, but at the end of the day, man, I'm just human. And so I struggle with a lot of things, and there are a lot of people that are struggling with a lot of, things that I've struggled with. And so I've been allowing myself to be vulnerable and share, the experience with people, so they can see my authenticity and just be able to help them overcome a lot of things, because we're all fighting and battling something in our minds, even though we don't want to sometimes admit to that, but we all struggle with different things. And so it's good for me to see people that are excited for me, that are motivated, by my weight loss journey, and it gives me a sense of accountability to know that, hey, I got thousands of people that I put out that I'm trying to lose weight. And so, man, it helps keep me accountable. But I love it. I'm excited, and I love the energy, love the positive energy.
I'm sure that vulnerability goes along with your players as well.
Absolutely. I think for me, what's allowed me to be very effective as a coach with my players is sharing my experience with them, not the things that I've done or that I've accomplished and who I coach in the NFL, but those moments where I wasn't in a good place and things that I have overcome. And so that allows them to break down those barriers where they're willing to communicate with me just about life. And so with that being said, I'm able to coach my players hard because they know I care about them as men, and they know what's underneath that. When we're in this building, it's about football. When we're outside this building, man, it's about life. How your family's doing, how your grades, how's your mom and your dad, what's on your plans for the summer. And so, it's not always just football, and that's not what it's about. And so you got to be able to connect with your players on a personal level, and to be able to do that, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to tell them the truth about some things that you've been through.
Was there a person in your life, a coach, that showed you that it was okay to be vulnerable? Because it hasn't always, I have witnessed, it hasn't always been that way from Matt.
Yeah, so like at the end of the day, no, I think I've learned this from my grandfather, who was a pastor, and my grandmother, and so it wasn't from a coach, but I've had a lot of great coaches, Mark Stroud, Kevin Hill, Donnie Arrington, who are my high school coaches. I think they've done a really good job, man, just in installing in me a great foundation of what it means to be a man, to be a coach, man, to love people, what it means to be a Christian, and that life is not always going to be perfect. And so, in times when I go through hard times, man, I remember those lessons that I learned from my high school coaches, that I learned from my grandparents and my mom.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
For Wes, just heading into the second year, have you seen any particular change in him? Just how has he grown as a coach after his first year?
Man, I think Wes is going to do a tremendous job. I think, like, at the end of the day, man, it's my job to make sure he becomes the best version of himself and to help him. And that's part of servant leadership, is not just providing for your players, but also providing for the staff and the administrators and the support staff that's in this building. I think Wes is going to do a really good job. It'll be his second year going into the defense. Obviously, sometimes in your first year you can experience some attrition here and there, but he's going to be tremendously better than he was last year. Just kind of understand his players, as well, and what they're really good at. I think he's going to put guys in positions to make more plays than what they made last year. So I know we're going to be better, and I think the players, trust him more as well, just as a coordinator. And I've seen that in our players, and just they enjoy being around him. We enjoy being around him as a staff. The one thing I love about Wes is that he really, takes into account the opinions of other people. You don't always have defensive coordinators like that. But at the end of the day, he runs the show. But it's our job, man, to give him, different ideas and different, plans and things that we can use to attack our opponents.
Was there a feeling out period last year, you guys kind of getting your groove on during the season, and you don't have that this year because everything's still in place? Did you have some of that last year working out, just communicating with each other and things like that?
Man, at the end of the day, I just think it was all new for us as a staff together, different personalities. Having to have my personality in the room, which is different, but at the end of the day, man, no, we've always been able to communicate with one another. Game day, obviously, you can, there's always some attrition and stress on game day, but that comes with it. But I think we do a good job of communicating, man. We just got to continue to, be the best assistant coaches, obviously, to help Wes be the best defensive coordinator he can be. And so I think it's been great, and I think Coach Sweeney has done a really good job of challenging us as a staff to be the best version of ourselves, to get better in different areas of the defensive game.
I guess we talk a lot about Ruke and Tyler, kind of being those top two guys. Payton Page, how has he improved maybe to kind of close the gap with those two guys?
Well, Payton, when he got here, was almost 400 pounds. He's done a really good job of taking care of his body. He's done a really good job just off the field, just being locked in the classroom. And so, education matters to us. And how you do anything is how you do everything. And Payton's done a really good job just being accountable. And I know that's going to show up on the field. He's worked really hard, in terms on his body, just to remain healthy, his flexibility, his strength. He just got a different look in his eyes this year. And so I know he's going to have a really great season. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And so those guys like, Payton Page, Tré Williams, and DeMonte Capehart, the guys that have been here for about 2 years, man, those guys are what's going to take us to another level, those three guys right there. And so I'm excited, man, to have the opportunity to coach them, as we start camp and look at their development. But I've seen it already in the weight room.
Tré Williams is a guy who, is it just availability about with him, just how
Tré is one of probably the most explosive, athletic defensive linemen that we have in the room. And so, Tré just faced some adversity with some injuries, but he's always come back. And that's the thing that I've told Tré when he's experienced injury, because being hurt, it sucks. Nobody, no player likes to be sucked. I hated being hurt when I tore my Achilles, so I've been there before, so I understand. And so, but I've always told him, hey, Tré, man, you're going to be the comeback kid, because he's experienced a lot of adversity, but he always comes back. And so he's coming back, and just truly excited for him. But he's another guy that has a different look in his eyes this year, and he's really, really focused. And so just praying for just great help across the defensive line, because these guys are going to be great.
You say a different look in their eyes.
Yeah.
Wes mentioned that the defense as a whole is just playing with a chip on each shoulder in practice. How is that coming through in what you're observing from just their personalities?
When I say a different look in the eyes, man, it's just more so in their actions. How they're approaching the weight room, how they're approaching the classroom, the time they're spending trying to, in the castle here to help their bodies just, recover and develop, and stretching, and yoga, etc. They've put a lot of time into those areas of their lives. and as well as just mentally and spiritually as well. And so guys mature. You come in here, you're a 17, 18-year-old kid. You can see some of the level of immaturity for some guys. But these guys going to their third year, and you can see the change. I've seen the change drastically from last year, this year. But that starts with me as a coach. I got to challenge my players to be the best version of themselves because they're still young kids. They don't know. I'm a 43-year-old man that's had a lot of experience, and so it's my job to help them be the best version of themselves as well.
I think you talked about connecting with these guys on a life level. You had a lot of that, especially in your position last year.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to get through some of the things that happened, and how has it benefited some of these young guys?
It was difficult. You speak of the Brian Brzee situation with his sister. That opened up a lot of old wounds for me because I lost my mom to breast cancer. But at the same time, I was a 30-year-old man when I lost my mom. I wasn't a 19, 20-year-old kid who was having to watch his 14-year-old sister, 15-year-old sister, battle cancer. And so that's a different perspective. And so I empathize with that while at the same time trying to coach him to be the best version of himself, while at the same time trying to mentor him and pray for him and try to lead him through that situation. And so when you're close-knit like our room is, man, we all felt that pain that he experienced. And so that was really hard, tough for us, but we fought and got through it. And I think what helped us fight through it is watching Ella fight through it. Yeah. And so, I spoke about that the other day. Sometimes when I feel tired, don't feel like working out, don't feel like going, man, I remember her walking, coming to our ladies' clinic. I remember her being here at our games, coming to our practice, continuing to fight through it. And so she gave us strength, even though it was tough to watch our battle cancer. Ella gave us all strength, and so for us, man, that's just, this place is just so special, because our foundation is built on Christ, and that's what makes us different. And I'm not saying that we're the only organization, the only school that speaks about Christ, but I'm a Clemson Tiger, and that's what I feel here. And so that's what helped us get through those tough times last year when we dealt with that. And so I think we did a good job of just coming together, being there for Brian and being there for his family, and it's life. And so I think for me that I've experienced so much adversity in my life, it's allowed me to be able to lead in those situations. And I truly feel like God placed me here at Clemson during this period of time in my life to go through that, to help Jeremiah Trotter, who lost his mom as well from breast cancer. It was a difficult situation, but I'm in a situation where I can actually talk to him and he knows that I can relate. And so, when you're trying to mentor someone, they're more probably, persuaded to listen to you when they know you've been there and you've done that.
Nick, Clemson is a unique place.
Yes.
Right? It's not for everybody, and you guys don't want everybody. How difficult is it when you say, you know what, we could get these 10 5-star guys all on our team if we wanted, but we don't want to do that. We want to build it our own way.
Yeah, man, we're just looking for kids that are just looking to be developed as young men, on the field, that's looking to get a great education, just looking to just, find great life skills, and win a championship while you're here. And that's what makes this place unique. Yeah, we're going to challenge you in the classroom, we're going to challenge you in the weight room, in all the areas of football on the field. But at the end of the day, man, we care about you. As we want to see you be successful businessmen, be successful family men, successful husband. Yeah, NFL is a part of that, but it's not all about that. Everybody's not going to have an opportunity to go play in the NFL. And so, like, at the end of the day, what's most important, man? What's most important is who you are as a man and what you become, from that. Not about, if you're going to go to the NFL or not about your stars, because at the end of the day, we've had a lot of guys that have been 2 and 3 stars that have come in and been great. I wasn't a 5-star when I got here. But I had a long career. I had a successful career here at Clemson. I had a successful career in the NFL. I coached in the NFL, and obviously I'm here now as a defensive running coordinator and defensive tackle coach at a Power 5 school, one of the best universities in the country. So, like, at the end of the day, man, I try not to make sure that I get caught up into the stars, man. I'm just trying to find kids that have the right fit. Now, with that being said, I want you to be humble. I want you to want to earn things in life. But at the end of the day, I do want, when you step on the field, I want you to be mean. You got to have that switch, kind of like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And then when you come off the field, man, you're a humble human being that's looking to help people, that's looking to get better, that's looking to, earn an education.
and some on the outside that want to pick at Clemson. You know, you don't use the portal all that much. You know, junior college guys, things like that. And yet, you guys are defending ACC champions.
Absolutely.
Championship last year.
You know, we're not. You know, at the end of the day, we want to build our team from high school kids. You don't want kids coming here and every time you look around, man, they're seeing things in the news about us, you know, getting in the portal, trying to find guys in the portal. And so that's why it's important. That's why our recruiting process is the way it is, right? We take our time. You know, we're always last to offer kids, but we want to do our due diligence. And so that offer, it means something when you get an offer from Clemson. We're just not handing out offers all the time. And I'm okay with that because, you know, Coach Sweeney, that model has allowed us to be successful and consistent over time. And that's what it comes down to. We're not just one-hit wonders, but we have a level of consistency of winning here at Clemson. And so that's why I'm excited about that. You know, every kid's not a fit, and the ones that are, we'll get the players that we need to win, and the ones we don't get, we don't get. And so that's why I got to be the best coach I can possibly be, so I can get kids here that I can develop, you know, to be, you know, great football players and ambassadors for this team.
A couple of coaches talk about professional development. Is that something you do? Do you bounce ideas off of other coaches?
Absolutely. I just think, like, at the end of the day, you know, no matter what profession you're in, especially in coaching, man, you can never be comfortable and think you have all the answers. I mean, there's always room for development, you know, as a coach. And so, man, I challenge myself every year to attend coaching seminars, and sometimes that is not always with high school coaches, not always the NFL coaches. There's some really good high school coaches that are out there that I've learned a lot of football and technique and fundamentals from. And so, like, at the end of the day, I think that it's really important not only to develop myself, to help me be a better technician and a teacher, but also to be a leader, you know. And so I make sure that I'm trying to develop myself as a leader, whether that comes down to reading books or whether that comes down to going to leadership, you know, conferences, etc. And so praying, you know, praying and fasting, going to church. And so all those things help me to become a better leader. And so I'll continue to do that. We have an opportunity. We win the national championships next year. I mean, I'll start over and continue to try to challenge myself and make sure that I can become the best coach that I can be, so I can lead my players.
Who are some guys, not football coaches, who have impacted you or the
you know, like, at the end of the day, you know, my uncle, who's my pastor, Julian Holland, he's just been an inspiration to me. He's kind of like more of my brother because my mom had me at a young age, and my grandmother raised me, so I was in a home with him. But he really installed in me just how to work. You know, we would, you know, push. We had a push lawnmower. We'll cut the grass 4 or 5 acres at a time in the hot sun, and that's where I learned how to work at a very young age. And so I'm just really, truly grateful and thankful to him. I'm thankful to my grandfather, Bishop James Holland, who was my pastor before my uncle became my pastor, and his wife, which is my grandmother, Betty Holland. And so, you know, my grandparents are now going on to be with the Lord, man. But I am just truly thankful for how they taught me to just be humble and be thankful for the little things that I have in life. And I'm so grateful for the little pink house that I grew up in. I've shared that on social media. And I have a picture of that little pink house next to my desk just to remind me where God has brought me from. And so that no matter what I accomplish and no matter what title I receive, you know, like, at the end of the day, man, it's going to come down to, you know, what matters to God and how I treat people. You know, because at the end of the day, man, you know, characters is how you treat people that can do nothing for you. And so that's what matters.
All right, time for one more question.
Yes, sir.
I guess in terms of, you know, the depth of defensive tackle, obviously Wes is going to have a say in this in terms of, like, 3 defensive tackles on the field at the same time.
Right.
But do you feel like you have the depth and the versatility to play more of those fronts with 3 defensive tackles?
Absolutely. I think that we have the depth to do a lot of things up front. You know, we have packages where we play 3 defensive tackles, we play 2 defensive tackles. And so, man, when you have the depth and the athletic ability and the talent that we have in the room, you can do a lot of multiple things. And like I said earlier, I think Wes is going to do a good job of putting our guys in the best position to win.